Do not attempt to adjust your podcast player. We are controlling the transmission. We are here to be your guide, helping you to explore local events, the art scene, music, theater, sports, and possibly a conspiracy or two. All here on the GCRX Radio and Podcast Network.
And with us as always, Miss Kim Pearson, and tonight, Mr. Nick Drago, as well as Engineer Bill.
Hello, hello.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good evening.
We're here. We're here.
We're here.
We're here.
It's
We're
Monday.
here.
Where else
It's-
will we be?
It's Nick
Right.
at night.
Uh-oh.
We can't say the other one because it might get sued by Nickelodeon, you know. But
Do they even care anymore?
I don't know if they care or not. We don't care, but you know, we can't be sued because we're all broke.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Go ahead and get that blood out of a rock. You know?
Right. How was your weekend, guys? Kim, what'd you do?
I spent the weekend visiting a few of our local towns with the Route 66.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
Did you get your kicks?
I did, yes. And kind of kept an eye on the murals as they were progressing down here in the
Okay.
district. And then today they started on the neon park sign, so it's kind of exciting.
Sweet.
I'm excited to see that neon park sign.
I am
Like,
too.
I think that'll be something kind of cool that's going to draw people here into town. So,
Yeah.
anything else big go on this weekend for you?
This upcoming week, I want to mention that tomorrow at 5 is the classic music or the classic movies.
Yes, and
And
what's
it's
entertaining us this week?
It's the Wizard of Oz,
The
Oh,
Wizard of
Oh,
Oz.
right?
Are they going to play Dark Side of the Moon
Well, I'm
sure
sure.
in that?
I don't know.
Is
When
that
is
the
that,
album that it
tomorrow?
was?
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz is tomorrow?
Yes,
At what time?
at 5.
Oh.
But also with conflicting schedules. Also at tomorrow in the same area at the Mill at 6 o'clock is the mayor's listening series, town hall.
Oh, they're going to do it over there this year, huh?
Well, yeah, because the Wizard of Oz is at the other place.
Well, I mean, you still got an open theater over there.
No, of course he's having it at the
Yeah,
Mill.
that makes perfect sense. I mean, it's wired for video and everything else, you know, so.
And then
That's
Wednesday is music in the park again. That'll be second week. Heard the first week was a lot of fun. I wasn't there. I had a cold. Still kind of dealing with that. And then so Wednesday, it's music.
Who is it this week?
Yeah, I don't know. But on Thursday in Machine Gun Alley, next to the Speakeasy, is Rewind. That's Mayor Pagano and Randy Belling, I think is
Okay.
his name.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You know who I think they should bring to Machine Gun Alley?
Who?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That might be a little hard, especially for that venue.
Maybe
Yeah.
they could get like a tribute guy.
There you go.
A guy like an impersonator.
Tommy Gun Bobby. Maybe he could be out there. You know? So, Nick, how was your week?
Oh, it was good. Weekend was okay. I didn't really do any. I hung out with my girlfriend in Webster Groves, and we didn't go anywhere to do anything.
Sometimes that's.
I went to the
nicest
grocery.
thing, right?
Yeah, I went to the grocery store and a couple other errands, and yeah, I made some good food though.
I was going to ask, did you whip up a
I
culinary
made chicken
specialist? weekend?
francese. It's I don't know why it's called chicken French. Basically, it's Italian. It's an Italian way to make it. But
Okay.
nonetheless, it's called chicken francese. I made that, and then last night I made filet mignon. I made
Oh.
fillets last night,
oh,
yeah.
you cannot go wrong when those are
Right.
done
No.
right. There's
Grilled,
nothing
broiled,
bad.
And they were.
How'd you make it? Grilled, broiled,
I really believe in the sear.
and
Yep.
seared?
Yeah,
Okay.
I really do. I like to put I season the fillets, and then I keep them out for like 2 hours, get them room
Yeah, yeah,
temperature,
Oh yes.
and keep them seasoned. And then I like dust them in cornstarch.
Mm.
I mean, I coat them like they look like glazed powdered donuts.
Yeah.
And then I put them in the back in the refrigerator for 30 minutes because it just tightens them up on the outside.
Yeah.
And then I just cook them in a cast iron skillet, 5 minutes on each side with the sides.
Do you bake them at all after you sear them?
Oh no.
Okay.
Because we do it like, I guess maybe 6 minutes on one side, 5 on the other, a little bit on the sides. You know what I mean? Garlic and butter, thyme.
Man, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I always do it like that. So that's what I did. Baked potato. We had a really good red wine that she had since Christmas. It was like bigger of her firm. Like they get like nice Christmas presents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like $50 bottles of wine and stuff. So
Very nice.
we opened one of those and enjoyed it. So
Nice.
Yeah, very cool.
an
Engineer
extravagant weekend at home.
That's the best.
Yeah.
and romantic. Sometimes those are some of the nicest, more romantic weekends. And like for me, I have not had the distinct pleasure with my current fiance, but like I love lazy Sundays where you don't do anything. We just kind of lay around, watch TV,
man.
and just and if it's raining outside, like not a thunderstorm, but if it's raining outside, oh, man,
Yeah, we watched a movie and
all the
this
best.
and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some reality TV.
So, yeah, awesome. Engineer Bill?
Well, Amy was gone this weekend, so I had the kids, and then they abandoned me. They went to friends' houses, and then they, of course, spent all the time in the carnival.
So what
Oh,
you're saying
yes.
is you had a great weekend.
I did around the house projects and kind of just pill around, got some stuff done, and didn't really have many distractions. Sat around and watched YouTube. Didn't have kids yelling. Didn't have kids asking me to take them places.
Okay.
It was kind of nice.
All right. Very
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our weekend pretty much consisted of the carnival. We did carnival stuff Friday evening and then Saturday. Saturday during the day is really the best time to go. You get the bracelet,
Yeah.
and then little ones can pretty much just run around and just do what they want. I mean, obviously not by themselves or whatever, but because everything else is just stupidly expensive. Yeah, I mean, I love carnivals. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did you eat anything good there? I remember they had these turkey legs.
Yep,
they used to
that's what
do,
we had,
like,
actually.
smoked. Did they? Yeah.
Yep.
They had them there.
Yeah, so
Good stuff.
we didn't eat a whole lot. I mean, I live literally less than a block away from where it was at. So obviously, we had food at the house.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't really go to a carnival and have the carnival experience unless you partake of some carnival food, right?
Right.
Popcorn or something.
So Miss Rebecca and I, we shared a turkey leg, which it was actually really, really good.
A funnel cake.
No, we didn't do the
No?
funnel cake. No, we did a turkey leg. We did fried pickles, and then the little one, of all things, had French fries.
Oh.
So
No-
when
no
your little French fries
deep-fried
are,
Twinkies or Snickers or anything like that?
dude, if I had a deep fried Twinkie, I'd end up in the hospital that night. Or even the deep fried Oreos. Now, I have had them before
Mhm.
because fair food is really great.
Uh,
It's so bad for you, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
really, really is good.
They're deep
You
frying
know.
Twinkies these days.
yeah, Twinkies,
yeah.
Snickers.
No.
The deep fried Oreos are on another level. They're amazing. They really are.
Yeah.
I scoffed at them at first, and my wife's like, "No, try one of these." And just what it does to the actual cookie in there by softening it up and
Yeah.
bringing the moisture into it, it's just a completely different flavor profile.
I've never had that either.
And I'm not
That's
try one.
right.
Yeah, I'm not a huge sweets person, so like I don't need to have that all the time. But yeah, she gave me that, and I'm like, oh, I could do that again.
Yeah, it's so funny because being diabetic, I'm the fat kind of diabetic, right? Type 2, and it's because I was fat and lazy for such a long period of time that it snuck up on me. But I was never really a big cake guy or a big cookie guy or anything like that. I could always do without the sweets. For the most part, my big addiction was peanut M&Ms. So
Ooh,
like,
those are
that was
good.
my big addiction.
Those are good.
But it never made sense to me, and I still don't eat a lot of sugary sweets and things like that. Now I'll get like the sugar-free candies, like Russell Stover makes their sugar-free chocolate series are just phenomenal, man. I love them.
Doesn't have the weird aftertaste.
It doesn't. I mean, it's absolutely delicious. So yeah, but yeah, we went to the carnival this weekend, and I'm kind of tired. I did a couple other projects, to get some things done at the house. I had some branches that I'm gonna give you guys kind of a sense of my humor that's not appreciated by all, I'm sure. But so when the storms came last week, it knocked a little branch down in my yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bunch of other little branches, so I just went out back, turned my table saw on, and just kind of chopped them all up, right, and threw them in the fire pit. I still find it funny. I walked out to the front to pick one up. I looked at it, and I've got a flag holder on my pillars, right? And I'm like, this looks like it'll fit in that flag holder. So I just took it, stuck in that flag holder, and I looked up and I like chuckled a little bit and went to the back. And it looked stupid, but I'm very easily entertained.
Hey, man.
But
Life
yeah,
is what you make it.
it was funny. I got eventually vetoed on that, but it was funny.
No, we're not saluting the stick, but
Yeah. So Rebecca says, "What's happening?"
What's up?
And then Amy's telling us, this would be the missus, is telling us deep fried Snickers are the best.
No,
What?
Really?
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever had one.
I've never had any of this deep fried.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about that is that the breading around it contains everything, but everything inside kind of turns into mush. So when you bite into it, it's still like the Snickers, but it's all just like melty and velvety, and yeah, it's really
Wow.
And
I don't even know how you would do I haven't had a deep fried pickle. How do you do that? Because there's so much juice
they're so good.
in a pickle, and then hitting the fryer.
I tell you what,
That-
Uncle
I've had those
Lenny's.
are
That's crazy. I could imagine.
Mhm.
Well, I'd love those customers.
Well, Uncle Lenny's Food and Brews,
Mhm.
they have got some of the best deep fried pickle spears that I think I've ever had. They're delicious.
I bet they go through fryer oil like crazy.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah,
I
I mean,
was thinking like I've worked in kitchens and with fryers and stuff, and I can't stand when somebody would want something like some kind of sauce on their fries dumped back into the fry. Oh my god,
It hurts your soul.
it's so bad for a fryer and it's so
Yeah.
bad for the oil, and it's just
Spe-
you
speaking of one last deep fried thing, have you guys ever had deep fried ice cream?
No, but I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think I have probably at a Mexican
How does
restaurant.
that
Yeah,
even
yeah,
survive?
yeah.
How does that work?
It's a quick flash fry. Like it really is. I think Don Chencho's had it at one point, and I don't know if you guys remember. Not the first place I ever had it was at Casa Gallardo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
remember
Casa
Casa
Gallardo. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was like a whole experience.
Boy, yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I love Casa Gallardo.
Amy says yes, they're so good, drizzled in honey.
All right. And then Miss Rebecca is telling everybody, and she is correct, we're going to do our own funnel cakes. Because
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually not hard to do. You get some decent pancake batter or whatever and put it in there, and so good. So
Douse it in powdered sugar.
all right, so now that we're killing ourselves slowly with talk of deep fried fats and everything, let's kind of get to the root of it. Everybody knows that on the second Monday of the month, we have our more than just a friend, but we have Nick come in, and Nick comes in and gives us some new information, and of course we're going to end up rabbit trailing into other information that we probably talked about before. But I know a couple things. Obviously, we're going to talk about some UFOs, and Nick, I think you said you got some Vatican stuff for us.
I got a little bit of Vatican stuff.
And that's always
Vatican
some juicy
conspiracy.
stuff.
It's really, like I start going down that one, and it's really interesting, really exciting stuff.
Because we know they got stuff in the basement over there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and
we
we
know
were
that
talking
they're
about it
good
last
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about their archives and stuff.
I would
Yeah.
love to have I couldn't even have enough time. It'd take you
Oh
forever.
god, yeah, a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, what weekend probably would
Right.
cover.
No.
But check it out. You sent me right after the last show. You sent me a video, or no, you tagged me on Facebook on a video that UFO in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And
It looked like a big bubble. It looked like a big elongated bubble.
yeah, now that was just like 2 weeks ago or something,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, 2 or 3 weeks. Well, just around that time, Japan announced that they're investigating UFOs. Like, I don't know if it's around that area, but it's at the base of Mount Fuji, where they're and that it's a hot spot, and they're investigating it. And it was also the Department of Defense when in our investigation last year that was released last year, they cited this spot as a hot spot. Like over the years, really for 50 years, actually, UFOs have been seen in this area in Japan.
Hmm.
And so now there's a big investigation there. And it's really weird because that was came exactly the time that you sent me that, and of that one,
And more and more of this is becoming more and more prevalent in citizen journalism is what it's been referred to, especially back during COVID or whatever. But, citizen journalism has just really kind of made a huge name for itself because it's not really biased one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's actual people like you and I that are out there. We see something, so we film it. And I'm sure some of it can be faked, whatever, for hits and likes and things like that,
Sure.
But we have more and more of the ordinary people where it's getting to a point where the government can't really say anymore that, it doesn't exist. Now I think it's become officially plausible as opposed to just out and out, no, it doesn't exist. Or like you mentioned before, they make comments that if it ever comes back on them later on, well, no, we didn't exactly say that.
Right. Oh, yeah. And man,
Yeah.
they've been doing that so bad. Like the last, they came out, they had their, it used to be, if they didn't want you to talk about it, they threatened your family or something.
Yeah.
You got guys coming in front of, Congress and the Senate talking about, biological material and this and crash retrieval vehicles and teams of, crash retrieval teams, and then they come out and they say, nope, nothing. Nope, no cooperation. We don't know anything. We got nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
So what's going on in the basement over to Vatican?
Oh, I know. That's too soon.
Too soon. Calm down there, Jack.
Hey, I'm ready to get to the meat of it.
Hold on. So an update on the Las Vegas video, UFO video.
Mm-hmm.
The guys, the boys, they said they saw like 2 9-foot, 10-foot creatures in their backyard.
Right.
And they called, and the interesting thing about it is
They
that
retracted it, right?
the policeman that answered the call, he had just minutes before this captured on his body cam something falling from the sky. Looks like kind of like a meteor, but it seems to not just fall. It seems to
Kind of glide.
like it's falling, and it's like, oh, wait a second.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And then it kind of morphs around. It's really weird. It's a meteor. I don't know, it's just really weird, the timing of it all. But so anyway, this crime expert has taken the videos from the body cam, from the police, and I think maybe one of the family members had their, phone out when the police came. And this man is swearing that there is evidence in the video that these creatures are in this video, but using some kind of cloaking device. He's citing that in the video, you see it's all pixely. Like here, you know what I mean? In these areas, it's all pixely, and they're both at about, 9 or 10 feet, and it's moving. The
pixels are moving.
Yes, and one of it is behind a fence, and points out the movement of it. It's really weird, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting. It's just kind of interesting, exciting. Look that up and keep your eyes on that, because I think we're going to hear more about that, the Vegas one. I don't know. I just think, or maybe it's just one of those. Maybe it's a psychological operation. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just all let's tell them this and see what they do.
Maybe new military technology they're trying or something like that.
Yeah. Just let's put that cloaking device out there, and we'll see what they say about it. And see who knows what. You know
There's
what I mean?
so much disinformation that goes on as far as all that goes.
Yeah.
Whether it's the UFOs or aliens or cloaking devices or military weaponry, and I remember when the stealth bomber came out, that they were denying of all that and everything, and eventually they were like, oh yeah, well, we got a new military attack dog, that we have up there, and crazy.
I wanted to, before I go get onto the Vatican, I wanted to tell you about John Lear. I think he died a few years ago. But Lear, the Lear jet, okay, that John Lear, it's actually his son. I don't think he's the one that designed it. I think his father did. But anyway, he has years ago. He's done a lot of conspiracy. He's done the whole conspiracy circuit. He's been on all the talk radio shows, like from pre-internet days, and he talks about the EBEs, the aliens that crashed in the Roswell Desert that they took on base that were still alive, and they called them extraterrestrial biological entity, EBE. It was EBE 1, EBE 2, and 3, and they named them according to finding them. How they, because they weren't all together when they found them. But he talks about how that craft was thought controlled, like the three entities would sit in this little pod in the craft and control it by thought.
Through telepathy almost, or
right?
Telekinesis, I guess would be.
Yes, I guess so. But he also talks about where's it at, man? Yeah, he said that they could only survive in our atmosphere for about 20 minutes, that they have to have them in some kind of controlled environment. But that in one of these memos that he saw, it's where this, top secret thing that was declassified or something he saw. Maybe. One person was telling the other person in the letter, "Oh yeah, EBE3 wants to see the ocean. You better make that happen, or he'll disappear again."
What?
So he's saying that these aliens that were on the base, they had a way of disappearing and like teleporting themselves. Places.
Just to random places and that.
I don't know to exactly where. It's just he just said that they were able to do that, but I don't. Yeah, he didn't say where or anything. Yeah, but check that out. There's hours and hours of John Lear talking about stuff like this, and he talks about 9/11. Says there were no planes at night. He's one of those no planers. Says there's no planes at 9/11. He talks about stuff you really don't want to be true. And I'm hoping. Let me get that out. That he is disinformation, because some of the stuff he says is really scary.
So speaking of 9/11, and you sent me a video, I think, of the animated, like when we were kids, animation, how like animated shows showed a lot of different predictions and things like that. You're the one who sent me that video, right? Was it?
Oh yeah. You mean the cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just sent you that.
Okay, I'm going to download that real quick, and I'm going to show that at some point during the show, because it's really, really interesting. Because some of the stuff is not just a few years, but decades before 9/11 happened. And I'm while you go into a little bit more of what you're doing, I'm going to be listening still, but I want to download that video also, because I want us to show that at some point.
Yeah, sure.
This evening.
Okay. What else? Let me see what else I have here. I'll go back to that. All right. So recently, the Vatican, let me say this right, not stutter through it. They released new guidelines on how to address and affirm supernatural events.
Okay.
You hear that?
I do. Well, I do believe it, and the reason I say I believe it is because every few years or so, definitely when you get a new pope, but they start relaxing some things a little bit. They start, well, before we said this was no good, no go, but a few years later, it's like, well, okay, we're going to look at it a little bit differently.
Oh, sure.
So,
well, they issued that a few weeks ago, and Conspiracy Land is kind of going crazy with it, because they're saying that, well, some people are saying it's the second coming of Christ, because they're preparing you for that. Some people are saying they're preparing you for alien invasion. Some people are saying they're preparing you for a hoax. You know what I mean? Like they're going to hoax one of the two, even. You know what I mean? I've often heard. I have heard of that. Where Project Bluebeam, you know what that is?
Yeah, that was the 3D.
Yeah, it's like they can. I mean, it's amazing that they were going to fake the second coming of Christ that way. I don't know how they would even fake it, really, because it's like, where are you going to do it at? You would have.
Well,
I mean, would you do it in multiple cities at the same time?
Well,
How would that happen if it really happened?
Interestingly enough, I mean, there are guidelines that are set forth in the Bible about where Christ will appear
Oh,
when he comes
Okay,
second time.
that's what
and
I'm
it's
asking.
on,
That's
on
a
the
good
Mount of
question,
Olives.
yeah.
Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, the Mount of Olives. He'll descend on the Mount of Olives, which is where it would make sense for them to do that, especially
Oh,
after
wow.
And then
using.
it
This
could
is
be
good.
live broadcast all over.
But
everywhere.
yeah, I mean,
Gotta
where we're
write
at
this one
now,
down.
whenever it happens, regardless if it happens 2 minutes from now or
Yeah.
200 years from now, technology, it will be a thing where everybody around the world will see it simultaneously.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Mount Olive. Is that what you say?
Mount of Olives, yeah.
Mount Olive. I got
And
it.
where is that?
It's in the Middle East. Where is that exactly?
Jerusalem or
Do you
something?
remember? Is that in Palestine? Where Palestine
I've
is?
got to look it up because I'm not.
I believe it's where they're all throwing rocks and stones at each other right now. You know,
Oh, yeah.
It's
so
in East Jerusalem.
East Jerusalem. Yeah. So it's
Okay. I thought that was. I might have heard that before. Yeah, I got to look that one up. Wow. But there's really a lot of. That's a rabbit hole if you want to go down like a crazy rabbit hole.
yeah.
The Vatican. There's a man named There was a man named Malachi Martin. He was a Vatican priest. He was an exorcist. He performed, it says, over 150 exorcisms. Over exorcisms.
Well,
And when I heard that, I'm like, I only thought there were a few ever. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know it was something so
it's pretty common. From what I
frequent and
understand,
and man, this man made me think. This man made me like re-question everything. You know, a lot of stuff. But he died. He died in 1999. He left there's hours of interviews with this man, this exorcist. His name was Malachi Martin, and he talked about Soviet spies in the Vatican. He talked about Luciferian Freemasons, like satanic cults in the Vatican. He's believed to have been murdered. There's a documentary called "Hostage to the Devil" that I'm trying to find, and I can't find it anywhere. I might order it, something, but it says that he was murdered because he knew too many things, and he was certainly talking about too many things. Yeah,
he was unalived.
he was unalive. Yeah.
Can we use the M word? I know we can't use the S word.
That's
Or
how. That's
K
what
word.
we're supposed to use.
Unalive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unalived. Okay.
A lot of
yeah.
organizations that are really good at that.
Yeah.
Unaliving people.
Yep.
Yeah. That's this. So I mean, here's the thing: the Vatican, and this is not a knock at Catholicism. So for my friends who are Catholic or anything like that, this is not a knock toward your
No,
religion,
I
your
certainly
beliefs.
didn't mean any
But-
offense to anyone.
No. What I'm about to say, I'm just prefacing that with what I'm about to say,
Mhm.
is the church, when you're speaking about the Catholic Church, is very good at covering things up, hiding things, and yes, I'm speaking specifically about unmarried, priests doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, with
Yeah.
other littles, right? And so it doesn't really surprise me that the Vatican could hold so many secrets. Because, I mean, if you think about it, even going all the way back to Christianity, I mean, the Catholic Church was essentially, I guess, and Bill, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Catholic Church was essentially the first church, and then, it broke off, starting with Martin Luther, who, he was like, you guys are freaking nuts. So we're going to study it the way it's this way. And where the whole Protestant thing, came, Lutheranism came out of that, then, Protestant, everything else. So it doesn't surprise me that the Vatican may hold a lot of secrets that could either cause questions, that would question people, or that would cause people of the faith to have questions or anything like that, especially if you get conflicting things. Because there are a lot of quote unquote books of the Bible that are out there that are not canon. So they're not, they're biblical texts. I don't guess you can call them biblical texts. There are texts
Right.
that is out there that was left out of the Bible because it didn't fit in with some of the narrative of it. Like the Catholic Church even has another text. It's called the Apocrypha, which I think is it 5 books, Bill? Is the Apocrypha 5 books, 4 books? Do you know how many books?
I thought it was 4.
It may be 4, but anyway, I mean, there are other texts that are in there, you know. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'm really kind of surprised about the Shroud of Turin.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
that's
how-
a good one, man.
You know how we know about that, but there are still a lot of questions that surround that.
You know,
You know,
well, when you say we know about that, what is it?
so when I think of the Shroud of Turin, you know, which if I understand it correctly, is in Turin, Italy. You know, or at least that's where it was unearthed or found or whatever. That, you know, whether or not that could actually be the Shroud of Christ,
Right.
you know, because of all the image of Christ that's burned into that, you know, and the blood and everything that's on there, that, you know, is supposedly that of Christ, you know.
Right,
And then,
right.
so we know that it's believed that that was the actual Shroud of Christ, but I don't know, and I may be wrong. Again, I don't know a whole lot about Catholicism, you know, but I may be wrong that the Catholic Church has kind of played the government on that. Well, it may be, it may not be. We're not sure. We're not saying it is. We're not saying it isn't, you know. But
They've gone back and forth. Well, but the back and forth has been like this, and I'll explain a little bit of the back and forth on that.
Okay.
They've
Yeah.
done testing, okay, and as time has gone on, let me say that I don't know what it is, okay. It's amazing, okay. But as technology has advanced, they've done other tests on it.
Mhm.
Now, at one point, they said that it was from the Middle Ages.
Mhm.
That, you know, that it couldn't be Christ. That it was from the Middle Ages. Whatever it is, it's from the Middle Ages because they tested the fabric. But then somebody made the point that, well, what fabric did you test on it? Because the shroud itself was damaged in a fire in the Middle Ages,
Mhm.
and then it was removed and it was sewn onto another piece of fabric
Mhm.
that was from the Middle Ages. So what exactly did they test?
Yeah.
So there's still some questioning, like, well, no, maybe, you know,
Yeah.
you might be wrong. This is what I think is so exciting and interesting about the shroud is that there's an award offered if you can duplicate that with the materials that they had in the Middle Ages. It's
Right.
$1 million or something. Nobody does it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if it's a hoax, I mean, they would have had to do this hoax in the Middle Ages, and it's undetectable by modern technology.
Yeah.
So what is it, man? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Now, Bill, did you hear about, so kind of getting back to that a little bit, about the blood that they found at Golgotha that had dripped like down to a cavern below it or
That's an
something like that?
exciting, yeah.
Where
Yeah.
like this was supposed to be blood from the crucifixion. How they know that, I don't know. But regardless, when they tested his blood, it was still alive.
Yeah, I heard that it was still like
Yeah.
Doesn't
Like,
it have something to do with the Ark of the Covenant?
it may have been. It may.
Like the Ark of the Covenant was buried there or something?
Yeah, I think that is what it was. It had dripped on the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I don't know biblical geology very well,
That's
you know, but
amazing.
yeah, this blood that they found, I don't care if this blood was 10 days old, but it was believed to have been centuries old, and it was still alive, like this blood that they tested,
Man.
you know. So I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff that surrounds that
Yeah.
whole thing, and you know, I mean, just kind of getting back to you know, the Vatican, like, you know, what they know.
Yeah.
Like, not
Like,
what they
come on,
think,
Tell us, man.
but
Don't.
what they know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's amazing.
I'll tell you, when I watch some of these, like, you know, I'm not big on the Bible, you know that and all that, but I watch this stuff and I'm like, God.
Literally.
Oh, but I'm like, I
Yes,
might want to
man.
behave myself more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. You know?
Yeah.
I told you about there's by where the 10 Commandments all happened. Like, there's this
Mount
rock.
Sinai.
Mount Sinai, by Mount Sinai, you know, where Moses hit the stone
Mhm.
with the staff, and then it like poured water and
Yeah.
you know. Well, there's
Stone's
this
still there.
rock. There's this big, huge rock that's split, and it's smooth only by water, and it's in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And it's where that would happen. And the thing is, it's closed off. Like the government there has it closed off. You can't.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, they take their holy sites over there very seriously. Like
Yeah.
the government, really does.
But I mean, in a place like, why is that rock like split and smooth like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of rain there, so why is it smooth by rain?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. There are a lot of things, and I get excited about talking about this stuff. But there are a lot of things that are in the Bible that they're unearthing now, and that they're seeing. And they're like, well, okay, yeah, this kind of fits in with what Genesis says, or this kind of fits in with, around the time King David was around or something, So I mean, and they're finding more and more of these things that at one point were considered myths. They're finding them to actually exist. So it is exciting stuff. When I refer to as the Bible coming alive, and that's like people are finding more and more things that in the Old Testament are historical books. The Old Testament's full of a bunch of poetry, history. I mean, it's just a bunch of there's a bunch of things going on in the Old Testament.
Oh, sure.
And it's funny because our pastor, he's been on the show a couple times. He was talking about things that the Bible is and things that the Bible isn't. And there are a couple of things on there that we disagree on, which is fine. Our central belief is that Christ is our Lord, but there are some and our Savior, but there are some like key elements that I think are plausible and he thinks are hogwash, So it's funny. It's like Ken Ham. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's an apologetics guy. They call him Dr. Dino, right? He kind of he uses science, like modern day science and biblical science, and kind of merges them. And for me, it makes sense, because the biggest thing is like the temperature of the earth back in the day, like back when the earth was created before the Great Flood, according to, the Bible talks about a firmament in the skies and, water being, the whole globe basically being a hydraulic sphere, because it just had a layer of water around it, So naturally, sun comes through the water. We have a much more tropical environment than we did. So things are going to age differently. And, Ken Ham goes into here's carbon-14 dating. Here's why it makes sense when you tie it in with, a biblical point of view. So I've always been a big believer that Bible science and secular science can coexist with each other, But anyway, I mean, this isn't a show about religion tonight or whatever, but, we always get off on a tangent.
No,
anyway.
go ahead, man.
But things like that are just always amaze me. And again, just to kind of round it back out to, the Vatican, I would love to know what they're hiding down there that could prove or disprove some things, because I think it would be really great just to have access to that kind of information.
I'd like to get their take on Ezekiel's wheel. Are you familiar with that story in the Bible? Ezekiel's wheel. I don't know who Ezekiel was, but
Ezekiel.
But there's Ezekiel's wheel in the Bible is supposed to. A lot of people believe that it's talking about a UFO that was sighted back then.
Are you familiar with this, Bill?
Talks about like a wheel and faces and torches and all kinds of. I mean, it's basically describing like some kind of disc flying in the sky, and
Well, there are stone tablets, that show things that resemble UFOs and rocket ships and things like that. I mean, hell, you look at one of them actually resembles a laptop. I mean, we know they had stones, but like stone tablets or whatever. But like there are some tablets that are out there, and I'm talking stone tablets that look like UFOs, look like aliens and things like that. And I believe it's completely plausible that we were getting visited even way back then.
Oh yeah. That's what the whole book, Chariots of the Gods, that was a bestseller back in the 70s. That's what that's all about. Like basically the same premise as Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. Yeah, I'm sure they've had a thing on Ezekiel's wheel.
Yeah.
Next time I come on here, I'm going to talk more about it. I'm going to get more information on that.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. Also,
It's a widely, I mean, it's in the Bible. It's widely known, and it's among like ufologists or tinfoil hat people. It's a big one.
Speaking of, I seem to have misplaced mine. Oh, there it is.
it's
There
in.
it is. Okay. All right, I see it. Like I haven't put it on in a while. So what else is going on in the world? I mean, I know that for me, and I'm not sure how much you know about this, but giants. Like I'm seeing more and more posts and more articles about the existence of giants.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now, again, reaching back to a biblical point of view, there was the Nephilim, which Bill you mentioned earlier, which were the ancestors of David, not David, of Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
Like these really just huge creatures. And for me, I'm just kind of curious, like, well, where are these guys at now? Like you see these big skeletons on Earth, and just these huge doors to like old like ancient buildings, which have these huge doors. Why do you need
don't need a
30-foot door
like
for a maximum 7-foot guy? You know,
really.
So
It's really
Okay.
it's amazing. Even some of these steps
yeah,
you've seen like in these ancient places, like steps like what do you do?
yeah.
Jump up there with a rope. It's just, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like you had the right idea, but it's a strange thing.
Yeah, I hear theories that the giants that around helped build the pyramids. Like that's how the pyramids were built, because stones to those guys would have been like a big cinder block to us or something. Those stones, and then, but then again,
It's a guess, man. Hey, I don't know. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, it's nuts. There was also a couple articles I read this week about the pyramids were once underwater. Like there's scientific proof that they were once underwater. So you gotta look on your face
Like
over
Atlantis or something.
Nothing. That's interesting though.
there. Yeah, it really is. And the way they're positioned and everything, like they could have been used for some kind of signaling or
Mhm.
some kind of like they believed at one point that the tops were actually constructed of a metal. What that metal was, I don't know, but that the top was constructed of a metal, and there was some kind of transmitter, that could have been used again
Yeah.
by aliens.
They had it was limestone. It had like a limestone covering.
Yeah,
Like, wouldn't they be white?
yeah, they were
At
very
one point?
bright. Yeah,
Wow.
extremely bright.
Amazing.
Very white, and the metal at the top. It was like I look at things. I hear things like that, and then I look. I used to be a big architecture buff, right? Like I used to have Frank Lloyd Wright. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But I would look at things like the 1904 World's Fair that they had in St. Louis,
Mhm.
and the way that they would build those buildings. You don't build buildings like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Which
one?
just like the huge, just tall palatial buildings. You don't really build buildings like that anymore out of
They don't. Yeah.
natural thing. Like the things that are built now are built to wear out, but things back
Mhm.
then really weren't. And you still look at something like I'm babbling, I know, but look at things like the
Babylon.
Roman roads. Some of those suckers are still usable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't keep 270 clear construction for longer than 2 years.
That's something we should have taken from the Germans when we invaded. Like, listen, you guys did the roads the right way.
Yeah, yeah. So this can be awful quiet over there tonight.
Yeah, I got a little something about TikTok.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of where I get my news. It just is because it's like
Sorry to
real
hear that.
people. No, really, seriously, give it a
Fake
try.
news. Fake news.
Are you a TikTok fan?
Sure,
Are you
yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Oh, then you might have seen these TikToks going around of Biden on D-Day at a ceremony.
Mhm.
Him getting out of a vehicle.
Mhm.
Joe Rogan also narrated like exactly what was going on step by step. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't see any of this. I didn't see it.
He talked about when he gets out. And by the way, I'm not for one team or the other because I don't like either one of our choices. So not a Biden one. Yeah. When they open the door, when the handler, and they would say that she would be like the lead handler, opens the door and holds it open for him,
Mhm.
and holds it so that he doesn't fall into it or doesn't back into it. Prior to them opening the door, he was briefed on what he should do. Maybe because he doesn't remember anymore. I don't know. Not Biden and all that.
Okay.
But when
I don't
he
think it's
does,
uncommon to brief a president, regardless of who they are, about.
so as soon as he steps out, there is this look that comes on his face, like he does not know where he is or what
Oh.
to do. And his hands are mannequin, and that's what they called it in some of the TikToks. And there's another gentleman that comes and stands right in front of him and touches the top of this hand.
Mm.
And the minute I saw that, I went to that conversation we had.
With Mitch McConnell.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta see that.
And he touches his hand. And then there's someone you can see pushing that guy away. And he
Oh.
steps away, and Biden is still there for a second. But then it's almost like robotic of the way he starts to move. And just, I know you can't see this, but just showing Nick something real quick.
Mhm.
See his hands, how it's robotically, no, not
Uh,
robotic. They call it mannequin.
One moment.
How they're just there.
Oh, it's not a video, it's just a picture.
But it is a video.
see
if
what
you
you're saying,
clicked on
yeah.
it. But there's
It's,
so many of them that I wouldn't even know where to begin. And the Joe
Mm-hmm.
Rogan one where he talks about Secret Service and what each of their jobs are,
Uh-huh.
he could not explain what the job would be for the person that stepped in
But-
front of him.
Just like the Mitch McConnell thing.
Exactly
With that woman, like, why are you,
exactly
this man
like
is talking
that.
to the media, why do you come up here and just touch her? What is
Right.
the reason
So he
you
said,
would do
like,
that?
this lady, it was a black lady that got out first out of the driver's seat. She opened the door, and he said she's the number one lead. She holds on the door. Another guy comes around. He stands with his back against the door
Uh-huh.
or against the car while Biden is getting out. And when he gets out, you can see there's something not exactly right. And then out of nowhere is a man in a suit, and all you see is the back of him and him tapping his hand.
Wow, man.
And then
Facing
they
away from
push
the
him
cameras, huh?
out of the way.
I will look at this. I
And
will
as soon as
look at
he's
this.
pushed out of the way, then the camera zooms in on Biden, and it takes a good probably 10 seconds before there's any acknowledgement in his face, eyes, or hands. They stay mannequin, and that's what they kept saying over and over.
Wow.
So that immediately, listening to the things that we talk about, the second I saw that, immediately that came to mind, and what is happening right in front of us.
Those, yeah, I will look at that. The arms did look kind of weird, and it reminded me of a thing, which I don't know why they would do this with Biden, but I would, like, it's a Secret Service thing. Like, these Secret Service guys have, like, fake arms like that. And really, they got their hand on a gun. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, no!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
know that.
They have fake
Seriously?
arms,
I
but
didn't know that.
Yeah,
but
why
I don't
would
know
they?
why would they have Biden. But I don't see why they would do that with him.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe they want
Let's
to
check
protect
in.
his arm. I don't know. Maybe
Did they
Maybe
I don't
he
know.
was going to get all Rambo
so-
on somebody.
or maybe they just have his arm. Maybe they think that someone's going to do something, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
Or maybe they don't want him instinctively reaching out to brace himself on stuff, which makes him look weak.
Oh, well, there's so many conspiracies.
Yeah, man.
I had never heard that about the Secret
About
Service.
his
I hadn't
arms?
either.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never heard that
Yeah,
either.
if you go back and watch some YouTube videos, there are people that point it out, but you can see they look exactly, both hands look the same.
And
look
they're not
mannequin
moving.
hands. Right. And they're standing
And
there.
they look like that.
They look like this, and maybe
They
that's
do.
why Joe Rogan was going in on that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then literally, he's right, absolutely right. They got their hand on their firearm and they're
Isn't
ready.
that something?
That's the
Well,
thing.
Chuck and I learned something tonight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I bet many out there didn't know that either.
Why
I
would-
never
That's
thought
crazy.
that.
Why would they? He had a reason. Why would they do that with Biden? But why would they give him
I don't
fake
know.
arms and keep his arms in? He said maybe to keep him from instinctively making himself look weak, or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Or I'm thinking maybe maybe they have like a threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, why bind his arms, or why keep his arms in his jacket? Like
Yeah,
that,
I mean-
that would be crazy.
Well, because when he gets to the podium to speak, he's gonna have to have his hands free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't stand there
Unless
like a
they're just
robot.
moving him from one car to another, or one
Yeah.
car into a building.
I thought
You know
I
what
was
mean?
going to say, I thought he looked like he was in a trance.
Yeah.
And
There's
then he was
other-
being moved that way.
There's other people that there's video of Bill Clinton. You might want to get this one up real quick. I don't know if you could find it. Bill Clinton under mind control. Oh my God, this is really scary. And Bill is just like, if he's president, or maybe he's just running for president at the time, and he's just staring. I doubt he even blinks. He's just staring like this, and they're like doing makeup. They're messing with his hair and stuff. And
You've mentioned this one before, yeah.
he's talking. He's saying, like, can we do those? One thing. He goes, yeah, I really like those. I'd really like to do that. Can we do that? Just looks really out of it, and it's like, what the hell is happening? And it's not. It's like, wait, are they slowing the film down and pulling our leg? But no, the people that are touching him up, their hands are not moving slower or anything. It's
just crazy.
So do you think
that's it right there?
So we're seeing.
Oh my gosh! Does that come up on here?
Do you have
I'm gonna have to download it.
Can you do that over there?
From what I'm seeing, and I've never seen that before.
Yeah. All right.
I'll do it.
All right. Cool.
Wow.
I'm just curious because we see a lot of these the older people that this is happening to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's? I mean, of course it's possible, I guess, but what do you think the possibility is or percentage is that some of the older public servants are truly just getting too weak in the mind? Because I mean, let's be honest. President he's an old guy.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, he's an old guy. And when they get to that age that somebody has to control them or mind control them in some way or another, so that they don't do things. Because let's be honest, the president of the United States, really, he's more than a figurehead for sure, but he's not as powerful as a lot of people give the president credit for. I'm just curious if there are people that are in Congress or handlers, that are specially trained in directing people one way or the other, such as the president, or some older Congress people, because they have to stay where they're at to keep, their constituents happy or whatever, because it's maybe not just time for the transition, which is one reason I believe that they haven't set term limits, for a lot of these offices. I'm just curious if being a political handler, on a much higher level than just, I'm going to handle your schedule and things like that, but no, I'm going to handle your actions. I'm going to handle your words. I'm going to handle your gestures and things like that. Like, if that's not something that is done on some kind of maybe psychic level or whatever.
I'll tell you what, the presidency, it's too important almost not to do it like that. Like, I don't believe Biden is running this country.
No, I don't.
He's just a face. I believe the Republicans get together and they decide what they're going to do, and the Democrats do the same thing.
Yeah.
Biden's just a face.
Yeah.
I don't even think he never looks stressed to me. He never just, you know what I mean? It's a fake. They needed somebody to win, and he was attached to Obama. You know what I mean?
And let's be honest, he was the only one that was going to beat Donald Trump.
Was that?
He was the only one that was going to beat Donald Trump.
Right. And
because of his attachment to President Obama, yeah.
But I mean, it's the United States of America, and you can't. It's like they can't afford for him to go out there and not know what he's doing or say so. You know what I'm saying? It's like no.
They can't look weak.
We will hypnotize your ass. You know what I mean? And you will go out there and we will remote control you. You know what I mean?
Well, that was my thought on it.
I'll look more into it. I'm sure we'll talk about it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have that Bill Clinton video up? All right, awesome. Let's take a look at this because I'm interested in seeing it myself. Can you give us some sound over there, Bill?
I don't know if it has sound. If it does, it's on.
Are we on mute?
No.
Okay, cool. It is not love. Yeah, that's crazy.
Something's definitely amiss.
He's extremely unresponsive.
Yeah, I can understand trying to stay still while your makeup's being touched up because it's obviously before a presidential address, but Like, even after,
But he's not even looking at her. Yeah. There's
I don't
a
know.
problem here.
I don't know if we have sound, but when he is talking, it shows in his. You can hear it in his speech.
it doesn't even look like he's talking. He's just looking straight forward. His lips haven't moved at
No,
all.
he will at some point talk. If it could be just an excerpt of the video that I've seen.
It looks extremely checked out here, and like,
Yeah, like even when she moves away, like she's not touching his face right now.
His
Why
head's
is it-
not moving.
yeah, no, there goes his eyes, just a little bit, but
Looks like he's high.
That wouldn't be hard to believe.
well, what I find hard to believe is he's not checking the chick out.
That's what I
you
just
know?
Right.
said. There's something wrong.
Now you know there's something wrong.
Yeah. He's not looking
That's,
at her.
Well, folks,
Yeah.
check out the longer version of that video. He's talking, and
Yes.
it even shows, if you think, it even shows in his. You can hear it in his speech and what he's talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. He's just like sounds like a child. Really, it's weird.
Mhm.
It's really weird.
I have to check that out.
I truly believe that in some of these instances, they've given drugs to some of these folks on purpose, especially with Biden, because like there have been times where like he gets up there and you're like, all right, Grandpa, it's time to go back to the nursing home. And then there's things like the State of the Union where he was just on it, like, and he was alert and he was very, concise when he spoke, and it seemed like you gave him a really good upper, something that kept him from being the quote unquote Sleepy Joe that everybody says. Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be something that they're doing there, and in that case, I don't understand why they're not doing it in every public appearance.
For
Like,
consistency.
yeah, like if the president's going to speak, give him whatever you gave him, because
Whatever pharmacy.
Well, then again, that might be kind of hard on the body.
yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
you're talking about being a leader of the free world. Have you not seen how it ages these folks in the first place
Oh,
in 4 to 8 years? Like,
Yeah.
reading the president's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the body.
Yeah.
Well, look at President Obama, man. He went in looking like a relatively spry young man.
Oh yeah.
Black hair. He gets out and looks like he's 80
Yeah.
years old.
Have you seen the
know?
pictures of Abraham Lincoln when he attained
Oh,
the
yeah.
presidency,
I have,
and then when he got
Yeah.
before he
Same
passed?
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely crazy. And I mean, honestly, back in those days, the usage of cocaine and other uppers and stuff like that would have been absolutely normal. Like,
Yeah.
like you've got cocaine, so do I. It's in my medicine cabinet. We use it for
Right.
everything.
Mommy's
Like,
little helper.
yeah, exactly. Well, you kid about that, but that's the truth. Like,
Yeah,
housewives
no, I
are
know.
like, I'm snorting a line
Yeah.
because today's rough.
Used to be able to buy codeine.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean? Like, yeah.
so Nick, are you a hard 8:15 tonight?
8:20, 25.
Okay, awesome. Because I do want to get to that video that you showed or that you sent.
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
sure.
So what we're about to look at here is just some like the way the cartoons kind of predicted at 9/11, and some of it is, I think, intended to be subliminal,
Mhm.
and then some of it's just right in your face too. And I think that this cartoon here that we're about, and it's snippets from multiple cartoons. And keep in mind, we don't own the rights to any of these. I think Warner Brothers owns a lot of them, Hanna-Barbera, some of them, whatever. We're just showing it all here just for demonstrational purposes. But take a look at some of these images that you see in the video.
And these are pre 9/11.
Yeah,
all
pre
of
9/11.
that stuff.
Love to see New York. We could all go with the bus company's special super sitter fare.
$9? This one's on me.
Where bonbons play. Let's hope Osama bin Laden doesn't know show tunes. God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. How many people does he need? How many boys? How many girls? Wait and see.
You were booked on the flight from Boston that hit the South Tower. And you didn't get on it.
Was late. I missed it. Coincidences do happen.
I was booked on the first flight that hit the tower, and
a small demonstration of our sinister strength should convince the world of our supreme power.
The Legion of Doom is about to begin its reign of terror.
emergency surgical kit with working stethoscope.
Huh?
Gangway!
For your information, it was rich in symbolism.
It was rich in boring me to death.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're stupid.
No, you're stupid.
Well, you're stupider.
No, you're...
Oh, yeah.
Unidentified warplane sighted heading for New York City.
Our detection system shows nothing. Mayday! Mayday! New York is under attack! Intercept and destroy!
A force field is shielding the warplane. It's getting through.
It's time. We will now strike at the heart of American defense and destroy the Pentagon with one swift and deadly blow.
Slim, remember those twin towers?
Yeah, what about them?
I don't think they're gonna be so tall anymore.
Now, some of those cartoons that we saw on that, like the Super Friends ones, 1976.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's crazy. Now, I get that the towers at the time, they're the biggest towers or the biggest buildings in New York, so naturally they would make a natural point of attack, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the thing of it is, like, so many references, and that some of them were very subtle, and that like some of them had nothing to do with particular attacks at all.
Yeah.
Like the one cartoon that we saw in the painting that was hidden on the side that had the tower on fire in the painting.
Yeah.
You know, what would be the point of putting something like that in a cartoon?
What about, and it's also been in other movies. You know what I mean? Like in The Patriot, which is about being a patriot. Mel Gibson's building a chair, and then he weighs it. It says 9 pounds, 11 ounces, and then it crumbles.
Yeah.
And then there's, I think it's one of the Matrix movies. Larry Fishman says they're in the elevator. It says 9. He says they have this building wire, and then 11. Trying to think, and of course, Back to the Future.
Absolutely.
We've all had fun with that
Yes.
one. Oh my God, that's crazy, and the sequels and everything.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm going to make a point to show that video here tonight because I mean it's crazy, and I want people to think about that. You know, I really want you guys, you know, our viewers, to think about what's in front of you, and then when something happens, ask yourself, is this really is it a coincidence? Like the whole Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
It was not a coincidence that he was not on that plane.
I don't believe he was on that plane. I think it's a lie.
It could have been, but even if it's not a coincidence that he wasn't on it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Because I mean, we saw it was the Family Guy episode. Was it Family Guy? No, what was it?
Well, the first one I think was Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was a Family Guy reference.
I think there was.
Okay, yeah, and so yeah, I just don't think it was coincidental. And plus, I mean, as the creator of the show, he's going to have to deny, you know, anything or whatever. But seeing those cartoons and just that, I mean, it's stuff that's in front of our faces all the time that we don't notice.
Yeah.
Until something like this happens, and they're like, well, wait a minute, you know, is there something to this?
Yeah.
Or if we're not taken by surprise by it. You know, everybody was taken by surprise by 9/11, of course, you know. But there are just other things. It's like the alien thing right now, UFOs and stuff like that. You know, I believe that with some of the information that you brought to us, you know, and some of the information that we see on our own, when it does come to light, and it will, that we're not alone in the universe. We've been being visited, and a lot of our technology is based on alien technology. We're gonna be like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be shocking.
It won't be shocking. In 1950,
yeah,
it would flip the world on its head.
Right, but now they're conditioned us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now people just be like, okay, where's the next round of cool stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people do.
What are you distracting us from now?
Right,
Really,
right.
we already know about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. Not even a little.
Would you be scared?
I don't think so, because if it's true, then it's already been true for so long. And
Good point.
That is
such a good point. It's like,
So
well, if
no.
it's true, then oh well. They've known. Then all that stuff is true. They've known about it for a long time. I'm still here.
You know,
what I mean?
you know what would happen? All those fly-by-night law firms would be like, if you've been abducted, you may be entitled to compensation.
Wow.
Like, literally.
If you've been lied to the government about extraterrestrial life forms, you may be entitled to compensation.
Yes,
Wow,
exactly.
dude.
That's exactly what happened. They'd come out of the woodwork. I told you. I told you what they did to me in that spacecraft.
That's right. My butt has been vindicated.
Oh no.
I ain't had to buy
You
toilet
had to
paper in
go
30
with
years.
the pro.
Awesome. Well, Nick, man, it is always awesome having you on the show, man. I love our
Every
conversations.
time I come here, I'm like, oh, I should come back sooner.
yeah.
Now I want to stay here and talk for an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Agreed.
If I have something really exciting happen, I'll just stop in and do like
Yeah.
15 minutes or something.
That door will always be open to you.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
guest.
Yeah, if it's a Monday night and we're sitting in here, that door.
You have a coffee cup.
Yeah, you just come up and knock on the window and be like, guys, I got some stuff. All right, come on
There's
in.
some shit right
Gonna
now.
have to do that. Well, Shelly, we missed you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time. And thank you, folks. I'll talk to you all again.
Yeah, have a great week, man. Appreciate it.
You guys too.
Wow.
Yeah, some interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It always is. I love when he comes on.
And I love that we all kind of were on the same page. Nope, it wouldn't be no.
No. I'd be like, okay. There'd be a lot of I told you so and going all over every bit of social media.
Yeah. Well, here's
And
the
then
thing,
in
though.
15 minutes, more like 48 hours,
Yeah.
we're going to be like, I'm sick of hearing about it, though.
Right.
Like, I'm just sick of it.
Like,
Come on.
some people have a lot of apologies to give out, though. Like the crazy, like, oh, yeah, that man's all just crazy. No, that he literally got abducted. Yeah, that'd be great.
Like the Dennis Quaid's character. in
Yeah,
Independence
like
Day.
everybody thought he was just completely off his gourd.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, what now?
Not Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. The one hiding up in Canada right now.
It would go more like, yeah, okay, you were right, but it wasn't exactly like that.
No, let me tell you, I did get that anal probe. Like I said, I ain't bought toilet paper in 30 years.
Yeah. So, you know what, though? I have to say, when we first started having Nick on here, you were kind of skeptical about some of the
I
things.
still
that he was
am
saying
about
that,
some things.
You know, but I think he's really opened your eyes quite a
Mhm.
bit.
For example, I'm 50-50 on the well, let me say this. On the moon, I'm 50-50. But I am 100% don't give a shit.
I think that regardless, they would have had a backup plan. Like, we're not going to not make it to the moon. So we might have made it to the moon, but there was footage of us.
Well, I'm going to
faking
watch
the
that
moon.
movie that's
Yeah,
coming out.
on
That-
Netflix or whatever.
Yeah. Is that Channing Tatum? Yeah, Channing Tatum. They got that movie coming out. I let Netflix go because you got to cut some bills, you know.
Mhm.
And so Netflix is one of them that went by. You know, Netflix CEOs, if you're watching, I doubt it, but if you're watching, your content just wasn't there for them, and Amazon had to beat. So, you know, yeah, I want to watch that show. That might be to see that one show for that 1 month might be worth it because I'd probably pay $15 to go to the movies and see it. So,
Do you really care if we were there or not?
No, I don't.
I don't either now.
I don't necessarily care. I almost wish, like, hey, like, listen, we've grown up and we've gotten past the whole space race and who's going to get there first and basically a biggest ego contest. And just say, like, yeah, you know, it was a
in
crazy
Hollywood.
time. It was a crazy time, guys.
Yeah.
We faked it. You know.
But we did it well.
Like, and
You know.
here's the thing. I kind of do care on a level that it's not so much that they made a movie about, you know, faking the moon landing. You know, it's that that our government, that was a big deal. Okay,
Yeah.
now that our government would have the audacity to fake something that huge not just to a group of people, but to an entire world.
Well, here's the problem,
and
it's just like with anything else. If you make it a matter of national security, which wasn't in their vocabulary back then, then it becomes of the utmost importance. If we fall flat on our faces and don't land on the moon, then we have egg on our face that we can't recover from. You can't let another country beat you to the moon, especially your arch enemy, the USSR. You just can't.
Right. Even back then, I guess it probably would have been shocking, although there was conspiracy theorists then too, that the government would lie to us. Now, I just assume that they lied to us.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I go to TikTok for the truth.
Now, isn't that saying something about the state of the country that we're in now? Because I'm going to be honest with you. Your mentality and mine also, we just assume that they're lying.
Yeah, I just assume.
Yeah.
I just assume that you're full of shit and whatever you're telling me right now is not true or whatever. Whereas 60, 70 years ago, I guess, it was kind of the complete opposite. I think that a lot of people had solid faith in the government, and a lot of people were like...
I think they were lying back then, too. They just
yes,
didn't have,
I agree.
They just didn't have the outlet to find out that it was inaccurate. I mean, when you stand up at the podium at the press room at the White House and be like, hey, Bidenomics is working, the economy is recovering. Meanwhile, people are starving to death and losing their homes and going bankrupt. And the numbers are there. Every analyst everywhere, of course, some of the more liberal news outlets try to hide it more than others, but every analyst out there is like, look, here are the prices. This is what's going on. This is how it's going. And you say that jobs are better, but really we lost all of these jobs and you added back these jobs, which is, 500,000 less than what you started with. And you're reporting that it's better. And the president, the president's standing up there mindlessly like, oh, it's working. The economy's better than it has been. And since when?
We'll go all the way back to the very first president. Can we believe he chopped down a cherry tree?
Well, I mean, that was proven.
Can you not tell a lie? We don't know. Probably all the way back there.
Well, that in and of itself, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, there's always going to be a need and a reason for the government to lie. They're going to call it disinformation or whatever. A lie is a lie. It doesn't matter. A lie is a lie. People lie. The government lies.
So if we're doing it, so are other countries.
Well, of course they are.
Oh, yeah.
Of course
they
are.
And
but my point is, the mind shift of America has changed. Now, as Americans, we assume the government's lying to us. Whereas, again, back in the 50s and 60s, the assumption was that the government's got our back. The government's going to take care of us.
Fighting words.
And if you dare to say anything against the government, you're labeled a commie pinko, I mean, and they blackballed you and you couldn't get work and stuff like that. But whereas now it's like, okay, if you're the government, you could show me something in your hand and I'm going to call you a liar because something about what you're showing me is not truthful. There's a lot of other stuff behind that that's not truthful, and I just think it's a sad state. Excuse me. I think it's a sad state of affairs where we have flipped that, where we can't trust our government. It's not that we don't want to, because we want to trust our government. We can't trust our government.
Why would you?
And that's Republicans and Democrats both.
Absolutely.
Bipartisan, yeah. Why would you stand back and believe that your government is the only government in the world that is informing the people accurately when you can watch a speech from any other country's government and immediately pick out the BS? I mean, like you look at North Korea and, like some of these tours that people have been able to secretly film and stuff, and they're like, and we defeated the United States and we did this and we did that, just blatant all out lies.
Yeah.
And like, you've seen these things where like they're driving around North Korea and like you can see the fake grocery stores and like it's everywhere. You think the United States is the only country that's like on the up and up?
Yeah, no.
No, you've got to lie. And then the closer you get to election, the more the lies are going to be laid on thick,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think deception is a lie, but I think that's really more prevalent during the election years, which obviously we're in now. It's more the deception. It's more the I'm for this, rah, rah, rah. Grease my palm over here, and I won't be for this after November. And I just, you get me elected and I'll get you taken care of. That's politics, but that sucks, because there are a lot of people in this country that do rely on the government to take care of them. And I think that's wrong also. I don't think people should rely on the government to take care of them, to help when help is needed. I'm for that 100%. But anyway, I think that's one of the biggest differences between the two parties. I mean, they're both lying. They're both liars. They're both full of liars. I don't know that there's maybe but a handful of honest politicians that are out there.
They don't stay honest very long.
But, no, I don't believe they do.
Money.
But anyway, the whole point is I think it sucks that we can't. Yeah.
That's where it starts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get lobbied by a big company and they make it really great for you, which is, by the way, perfectly legal to lobby and
which shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be. And there's actually a grassroots movement to make that illegal at the state level, and then try to get Congress people to replace our existing Congress people so they can force it to be illegal at the federal level. Because one of the best examples that I saw is like, hey, you could introduce a bill for this all day long, but the wolf isn't going to put a padlock on the hen house.
Right.
They just aren't,
Right.
So yeah, there's a grassroots movement for that right now, and I really think that should be. I mean, because listen, there are rules even for the company that I work for that hey, you can't accept certain things from exterior suppliers, other competitive companies. Listen, you can go to dinner and talk to a supplier. That's normal business stuff, but you can't take a golf trip from them. You can't take a trip to Hawaii. You can, because they'll try. They'll be like, hey, I can set you and your family up with these box seats at the next game, and it's all expenses paid. There's a buffet, free alcohol, everything you want to do. And then they start asking for favors.
Right.
My company and several other companies are like, nope, we don't do that. And it doesn't matter if you're the janitor or the CEO, it's unethical. We don't do that. However, with the U.S. government, Kim, if you're the one of the influential congressmen, and I want to give you $100 million, you're sure going to bend your ear to what I have to say.
Absolutely.
And I will intentionally target you because you're on the committee for energy,
right,
or something. And so I'm with BP or Exxon or whoever else, and I'm like, oh, Ms. Pearson, here's your $100 million. I'd really
for your
really
next campaign. They try and make it legal that way.
Well, that's perfectly legal. It's for your next campaign and whatever the hell you want to do with it. And I really, really would like that, my shipping doesn't get, extra taxes next year or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
or if you could just push this vote off for 2 weeks, where, I mean,
it's completely legal, 100% legal, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And I'm with you. I think there are some politicians that come into the game thinking I'm going to change this. I'm going to clean out the swamp, quote unquote. And they get in there, and then the money's just too much. They go from being your average everyday Joe that came from, North Dakota, and suddenly somebody's dropping $100 million in their pocket. And listen, money speaks.
Yeah, money talks, bullshit walks.
And I'm sure that these lobbyists have made it their lifelong ambition to sugarcoat everything that they're talking about and convince you that what they want really isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And hey, it's not as bad as this company over here never paying their taxes, and I'm just asking for this, and we're going to make it worth your while, and it's totally legal.
Yeah, cigarettes aren't that bad for you. We can put that smoking age back down to 18. That's not a big deal.
4 out of 5 doctors smoke Camels.
You ever watch Mad Men? Yeah. Did you ever watch it? I think one of the things that really opened my eyes, just kind of, since I brought the cigarettes up, it wasn't for this point, but just kind of came to mind, right? Is when they were trying to, the cigarette companies, it was the episode where the cigarette companies were trying to get past the point that the U.S. Department of Health writer, they're like, look, smoking's bad for you. It causes cancer. It will kill you. And then they're trying to figure out, Don Draper, the ad man for these guys, trying to figure out, how do we get this? And, he's like, how do you do your how do you cure your tobacco or something like that? He goes, well, we do this just like everybody else. He's like, no, everybody else's is poison. Yours are, and he says something is yours is toasted. It's still the same thing. It just worded differently.
Yeah.
He goes, yours is toasted. And it's funny how words make that difference, and it's a whole deception thing that whole misleading thing, and it's lobbyist government. They do it all to us, and it puts a bad taste in my mouth.
So Tim says, everything that we've been talking about aside, most importantly, what piece in a tray of brownies are you guys going for?
Right. He's 100% right.
Yeah, it's sad, and I hope this grassroots movement to get this. How else are you going to fix it? We've shown that it doesn't matter who you get in there. They make all kinds of campaign promises, and you would hope that. I mean, you can kind of pick out the ones that are probably that's never going to happen. Like one of the things Donald Trump said for this run was he's going to kill the federal income tax.
Not going to happen.
I'll believe it when I see it. Now, I would be really impressed if that man wins the election and kills off the federal income tax. Then that's cool, because it was supposed to be temporary.
Yeah.
It was very much supposed to be temporary. And if you think about it, we got all upset over tax on tea, like a 2% tax on tea, and threw a hissy fit. And now you're taxed every time you do anything. When you make it, when you buy with it, when you invest with it, when you do this. Everything. When you die, you're taxed. Like, there's taxes for everything.
Yeah.
And like, guys, you didn't do any of that work. You didn't go shovel that whatever for 40 hours this week. I shoveled that. And like, okay, cool. If you want to take taxes when I purchase things, maybe that's something different. But my income, like, you didn't work for any of that money.
Right.
And if I'm not getting any services from you, which services, by the way, I also have to pay for. If you get a driver's license, you pay for that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, listen, I have to pay to register my vehicle. You're not giving me anything for free. Why am I paying you and then paying you?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. And you're just absolutely taxed to death. And we sit here and we just put up with it.
Well, we're taxed to death, and Uncle Sam gets all that money because of the great lie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take care of you.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to take care of your roads. We're going to take care of you when you get old. We're going to take care of you when you don't have a job. We're going to take care of you over this. If you're hungry, we're going to put food in your mouth. We're going to help you put food in your mouth. When you get old and you need nursing care, we're going to help take care of you. Very little of that, becomes accurate. It's take. Oh, we're not getting enough for money, so we're going to hire 87,000 more tax people to make sure we're getting our money.
Yep.
I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. It's all based on a lie, and it just goes back to
it is ridiculous.
Can't trust our government.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I've been working in one way, shape, or form legally since the age of 15.
Yeah.
Paying Social Security. Are into Social Security and all the federal and all that other stuff. And if I lost my job tomorrow, then there was no kind of severance pay. Obviously, there is unemployment, but that's
which barely
minuscule.
pays your bills, if even it will.
Barely, and it would ruin me, because the job market is trash. And for a person with my skill set to go out and find my job at the income level that I'm at now is not a thing.
Right.
And so I would literally what's the government going to do? They're not going to give me, EBT assistance or whatever, or I'm going to have to fight to get that. I'm going to get this minuscule amount of unemployment insurance, all the while being harassed the entire time. Are you trying to find a job? Are you putting in an effort? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Listen, I've worked all these years, and I feel really sorry for those people that have put in all that time and they get to retirement age and it's just not there. And it's even worse now because of the economy. I mean, we wear people out expecting them to work their entire lives. And then we're just like, well, I guess I hope you really saved enough to be in a quality nursing home. I hope.
Some night, and I think I've mentioned this before, and we're probably going to get flagged for this because the government doesn't like the word. But I want to talk or get someone on here who knows about sovereign citizenship.
Oh, boy.
I want to get someone on here who knows a little bit about that, because
if that's you,
those are nasty words. Like, the government does not like to hear.
The problem is they
words.
always quote the Articles of Confederation, which were superseded by the Constitution. So everything that they talk about is just crap.
But there's money behind that. From my understanding, when you're born, when I was born, when you were born,
yep.
Kim, when you were born, when anybody is born in this country, the government takes a loan out on that person based on their expected earned income over the course of their life. And that loan is paid back through the money you give back to the government and put into it. And that's why they're paying other countries and things like that. We owe other countries a hell of a lot more money than what the government, pretends, that we owe. We are not a debt-free country, by any stretch of the imagination, So anyway, that's topic for another show.
Yeah.
But anyway, again, love when Nick comes on.
Me too. Wizard of Oz on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm wanting to say Miss Rebecca was wanting to go see that. I think she talked about that. She can let me know about that later on. I know she's watching because she.
And then very importantly, I don't know which is more important, but you decide. The mayor, speaking series.
Is he here tonight?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think he's saving his voice for tomorrow night.
Gotcha. Can I plug that real quick because
sure.
I do want to say so. Me and Mac, one of my best friends now, old show partner. But when we did the mayor's listening series a couple of years back, it was great.
Yeah,
it was fantastic, and I think that he handled it fairly. I think that some of the other guys who came on, like I think Nick Navasic.
Yeah, it was a time of hope.
Yeah, and it's when he first got elected, so I think that was great. I applaud the mayor now for having them again. So great job. I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor.
I don't think he has a choice either.
Well,
there's just so much misinformation.
But he does have a choice. He could just let it go like mayors in the past have done, or he can approach it head on, which is what he's doing.
To.
And I think that's great. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
He's doing that. So I encourage you guys, if you're listening or watching right now, go to this thing tomorrow night. Go there. If you have questions, go over there, raise your hand, talk to him, because you're not going to get more town hall than what these are. He's very transparent from what I've experienced in the past. You may not like what he has to say, but he's going to tell you what not so much what you need to hear, but he's going to answer your questions. So I applaud him for doing that. I think that's a great idea.
So we'll all be there tomorrow evening.
You're going to be there?
It's the council. It's the mayor.
So he's doing that in lieu of the Tuesday night meeting.
No, we
council.
just had our council last Tuesday, and we will have one next Tuesday.
Okay.
But this is a city elected town hall meeting, so all of our aldermen will be there. The city clerk will be there.
Is it aldermen or alder people?
I think everyone has their own idea. I like aldermen.
Okay.
I like aldermen. I don't get tied up with that other stuff.
I got you. And what time tomorrow night at the mill?
6 o'clock.
All right, awesome. Yeah. Cool. So 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Tuesday, June 11th?
Yes.
Yeah, June 11th. Head over to the mill. If you got something to say, go away. If you got something to ask, go there and ask and hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, she'll be there too.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. We've had a great show, I think, every time Nick is on. I will not be here next Monday, but have you guys talked to the other guy yet? Is he going to be here?
He will. Yep.
All right. Brian with a Y, what a guy, is going to be here. So, I will be traveling next week. But Miss Kim, Mr. Bill, and Mr. Brian will be here to keep you entertained and up to date on all the hot topics. Thanks, guys. They will see you next week.